Pay attention to the silver Honda Civic pulling out of Mercy General Hospital's staff parking lot. It is 6:04 a.m. on a Thursday in early February. The overnight shift just ended. The car moves slowly past the security booth. The guard waves without looking up. He has seen this car every morning for 3 years. Her name is Claire Alderton. She is 31 years old. She is a registered nurse. Pediatric ward. 4th floor. She has worked the overnight shift every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the last 2 years and 8 months. This morning she told her colleague Dana that she was finally going to sleep past noon. Dana laughed. Claire smiled. That was the last time anyone at Mercy General saw her. Now watch the intersection of Birchwood Avenue and Route 9. It is 6:09 a.m. Claire's apartment is 4 minutes from the hospital. She has driven this route 291 times. The traffic light turns green. The silver Civic does not move. 14 seconds pass. The car behind honks once. The Civic moves forward. Slowly. Then it turns left onto Greyfield Lane. Greyfield Lane does not lead to Claire's apartment. At 6:17 a.m., Claire's phone sends its last location ping. The corner of Greyfield Lane and Old Timber Road. An area with no streetlights. No businesses. No residential addresses for a quarter mile in any direction. At 11:08 a.m., Mercy General's scheduling coordinator calls Claire's phone. She has not shown up for her afternoon meeting. The phone rings 4 times. Then goes to voicemail. At 1:34 p.m., Claire's neighbor notices the silver Civic parked outside her building. Both doors are unlocked. The engine is off. Her nursing badge is on the passenger seat. Her keys are in the ignition. Her purse is on the floor. Her phone is missing. Claire Alderton is not in the car. This was not a medical episode. This was something investigators had never encountered before. And 27 hours later, when they finally found her, the questions only got harder. Not easier. To understand what happened on Greyfield Lane that February morning, you first need to understand who Claire Alderton was. Because the woman who turned left onto that road was not someone who made impulsive decisions. She was not someone prone to erratic behavior. She was, by every account, one of the most grounded and deliberate people anyone around her had ever known. Claire grew up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The youngest of 3 children. Her father worked maintenance at a paper mill for over 30 years. Same mill. Same shift. Same parking spot. Her mother was a 2nd grade teacher for 22 years. Same school. Same classroom. Stability was not just a value in the Alderton household. It was a way of life. Claire absorbed it completely. She was the kind of child who brought injured birds home in shoeboxes. She nursed them back. She never lost one. She decided to become a nurse at the age of 9. Not because anyone suggested it. Not because it seemed practical. But because at 9 years old, she watched nurses care for her cousin during a hospitalization that lasted 3 weeks. She told her mother afterward that she wanted to do that. Make the unbearable feel bearable. Those were her exact words. She was 9 years old. She graduated from nursing school with honors. Passed her licensing exam on the first attempt. And started at Mercy General within 3 months of graduation. She was assigned to pediatrics. The 4th floor. Children from newborns to 15 years old. Her charge nurse, Rosalind Hawks, who had been in pediatric nursing for 24 years, said something about Claire in her interview with investigators that has stayed with everyone who read the case file. She said Claire remembered every child's name. Every allergy. Every fear. She kept a small notebook in her pocket. Names on one side. What made them smile on the other. She said in 24 years she had never seen another nurse do that. Not once. Outside the hospital, Claire lived a quiet and deliberate life. A small 1-bedroom apartment on Callaway Street. A cat named Miso who slept on the same corner of the couch every night. Weekend runs along the Millbrook River Trail. 3 miles every Saturday morning regardless of weather. And a phone call to her mother every Sunday at 9 a.m. Without fail. In the 2 years and 8 months she had worked the overnight shift, Claire had missed that Sunday call exactly twice. Once when she had a stomach flu. Once when a patient on the 4th floor went into crisis and she stayed 4 hours past the end of her shift. Her mother, Patricia Alderton, told investigators that when Claire called that second Sunday, 2 days late, she cried on the phone. Not because she was tired. Because she felt she had let her mother down by missing the call. That is who Claire Alderton was. That is the woman who turned left onto Greyfield Lane on a Thursday in February at 6:09 in the morning. And then disappeared for 27 hours. The missing persons report was filed at 3:47 p.m. on Thursday. Detective Marcus Webb from the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office took the initial call. He would later describe the first few hours of the investigation as the most disorienting of his career. Not because the facts were complicated. Because nothing fit together. Start with the car. Claire's silver Civic was found parked outside her apartment building on Callaway Street at 1:34 p.m. Not on Greyfield Lane. Not in the forest. At her apartment. Her assigned parking spot. Parallel parked, correctly, within 6 inches of the curb. Both doors unlocked. Engine off. Nursing badge on the passenger seat. Keys in the ignition. Purse on the floor. Phone missing. No sign of struggle inside the vehicle. No blood. No broken glass. No marks on the exterior. The car had been driven from Greyfield Lane to Callaway Street at some point between 6:17 a.m., when the last location ping came from Old Timber Road, and 1:34 p.m., when the neighbor found it. But Claire was not inside it. And no one had seen it arrive. Detective Webb spoke to 4 residents of Callaway Street that afternoon. Nobody had seen the car park. Nobody had seen Claire. The building had no exterior security cameras. The nearest traffic camera was 6 blocks away on Route 9. Investigators pulled that footage. It showed Claire's Civic passing through the intersection at 6:08 a.m., turning onto Birchwood Avenue, heading in the direction of Greyfield Lane. That matched the phone ping. But there was no footage of the car returning. No footage of it anywhere between 6:08 a.m. and its discovery at 1:34 p.m. 7 hours and 26 minutes. A car that drove itself home. And a woman who was not in it. At 4:22 p.m. on Thursday afternoon, Deputy Aaron Tate drove out to Greyfield Lane. He parked where the road dead ends at the tree line. He walked the shoulder slowly, looking for anything. At 4:22 p.m. he found it. A single white nursing shoe. Left foot. Size 7. Partially hidden in the grass at the edge of the tree line. Clean on the outside. The inside still bore the impression of a foot. It had not been there long. Deputy Tate looked at the shoe. He looked at the trees. The forest behind Greyfield Lane is part of the Millbrook Conservation Area. 4,800 acres of protected woodland. No marked trails for the first 2 miles. Dense understory. Poor visibility beyond 30 feet. In February, the trees are bare. But there are more than enough of them to disappear into. Tate radioed dispatch. Search and rescue was activated at 5:11 p.m. 2 teams. 12 personnel. 4 dogs. They entered the tree line at the point where the shoe was found. They worked until darkness forced them to stop at 7:43 p.m. They found nothing. No footprints. No clothing. No sounds. No signs of movement in any direction. The forest had simply swallowed whatever trace Claire Alderton had left. That night, Detective Webb sat in his car outside the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office. He had her case file open on the passenger seat. He had read it 4 times. He told a colleague afterward that the thing that kept stopping him was not the missing hours. It was the car. Because the car came home. Without her. And that meant either someone else drove it. Or she did. And if she drove it, where did she go after? He did not sleep that night. The search resumed Friday morning at first light. Expanded teams. 21 personnel. 6 dogs. Thermal drone deployed at 8:30 a.m. The drone swept the first mile of forest in grid patterns. Nothing. At 9:14 a.m., search dog number 3, a Belgian Malinois named Atlas, picked up a scent at the tree line. Handler Dana Kruger described what happened next. She said Atlas moved differently than usual. Not frantic. Not urgent. Steady. Like he already knew. He moved in a straight line. No deviations. No circling. A straight line into the forest. Half a mile. Then 3/4. Then past the mile marker. The team followed without speaking. At 1.4 miles in, the forest opened slightly. A small clearing. 3 fallen logs arranged in a loose triangle. As if they had been there a long time. Waiting. Atlas stopped. He sat down. And then the team heard it. A sound. Faint. Rhythmic. Soft. Claire Alderton was sitting on the center log. Still wearing her scrubs. Blue. Mercy General issued. Name tag still clipped to the left breast pocket. 1 shoe on. 1 shoe missing. She was not running. She was not hiding. She was not unconscious. She was sitting upright. Eyes open. Looking at nothing in particular. And she was humming. A tune none of the team recognized. Low and steady. Like something you hum without knowing you're humming. Handler Kruger approached slowly. She said Claire's name. Claire turned. She looked at Kruger. And she said, in a completely calm and even voice, "I just needed to stop for a minute." The paramedics reached the clearing at 10:47 a.m. Claire walked out of the forest on her own. She did not need to be carried. She did not seem disoriented. Her temperature was low but not critical. Her pulse was steady. She appeared physically unremarkable for a woman who had spent 27 hours in a February forest with 1 shoe. She asked about miso on the way to the ambulance. She asked if someone could feed her cat. She was calm. She was cooperative. She answered every question the paramedics asked. She arrived at Hendricks County Medical Center at 11:22 a.m. Dr. Elaine Foster, the attending physician, ordered a full workup. Neurological exam. CT scan. MRI. Toxicology screen. Blood work for everything Dr. Foster could think of. Every result came back normal. Every single one. No evidence of trauma. No evidence of toxins. No abnormality on imaging. No medical explanation for the 27-hour gap. Dr. Foster wrote in her notes that Claire was, and she quoted, neurologically and physiologically intact in every measurable way. She also wrote one other thing. She wrote that Claire's demeanor throughout the examination was the most unusual aspect of the entire case. She was not frightened. She was not relieved. She was not confused. She was pleasant, cooperative, and entirely unbothered. As if she had simply woken up from a very long sleep. Investigators spoke to Claire 4 times during her 4 days at Hendricks County Medical Center. Detective Webb conducted all 4 interviews personally. He would later describe them as the most frustrating conversations of his professional life. Not because Claire was difficult. Because her story never changed. Not once. Which in Webb's experience meant one of 2 things. Either she was telling the truth. Or she had rehearsed it so thoroughly it had become the truth. This is what Claire told him. She remembered leaving Mercy General. She remembered walking to her car in the staff lot. She remembered getting in. She remembered starting the engine. She remembered pulling out of the parking lot. She did not remember the drive. She did not remember the turn onto Greyfield Lane. She did not remember stopping. She did not remember getting out of the car. She did not remember walking into the forest. She did not remember the 27 hours inside it. She remembered hearing a voice. And then she remembered sitting on the log. And then the dog. That was all. Webb asked her about the voice. She said she could not describe it. Webb asked if it was a man or a woman. Claire thought about this for a longer time than felt comfortable. Then she said she did not think it was either. Webb asked what she meant by that. She did not answer. She looked at the window for a moment. Then she said she just needed to stop for a minute. Same words. Same tone. Exactly as she had said them in the clearing. Webb tried a different approach. He asked about the car. He asked if she had driven it back to Calloway Street. She said she did not know. He asked if anyone else had been with her. She said she did not think so. He asked if she had been in contact with anyone during the 27 hours. She said she could not remember. Webb closed his notebook. He looked at Claire for a moment. He asked her one final question. He asked if she was afraid. She considered this. Then she said no. She said whatever happened, she had not been afraid. Not even for a moment. Detective Webb would later tell his supervisor that the interview had left him with more questions than he had walked in with. And he had walked in with a lot. Claire's phone was never recovered. Investigators pinged it repeatedly in the days following her rescue. The phone never responded. It had either been powered off or destroyed, or taken somewhere outside of cellular range. None of those explanations were satisfying. A woman does not walk into a forest and switch off her own phone. Not with a cat at home. Not with a mother waiting for a Sunday call. Digital forensics examined Claire's phone records from the 48 hours before her disappearance. Nothing unusual. No unknown numbers. No unusual communication patterns. No evidence of contact with anyone outside her normal circle. Her car's onboard computer was analyzed. It showed the route from Mercy General to Greyfield Lane. Normal speed. No hard braking. No unusual acceleration. And then it showed the return route. Calloway Street. Arrived at 8:43 a.m. normal speed. Normal operation. Someone had driven that car back at 8:43 in the morning. Claire had been in the forest. Phone dead. One shoe missing. Humming. The car drove itself home at 8:43 a.m. And Claire did not walk out of that forest until 10:47 a.m. 2 hours later. That is the detail that Detective Webb said he never stopped thinking about. Someone drove that car back. And whoever it was made sure not to be seen doing it. The case was officially closed on March 19th, labeled a dissociative fugue episode of unknown origin. The medical literature describes dissociative fugue as a rare condition in which a person enters a trance-like state and travels away from their normal environment. They often have no memory of the episode. They are sometimes found calm, sometimes humming, sometimes sitting in unexpected places. The literature also notes that fugue states rarely last more than a few hours. 27 hours is at the outer edge of documented cases. And the literature does not explain who drives the car home. Detective Webb filed a dissenting memo. 4 pages. Single-spaced. He argued that the car's return was inconsistent with a solo medical episode. He argued that the phone's disappearance was inconsistent with a solo medical episode. He argued that Claire's calm demeanor throughout was not consistent with someone who had just spent 27 hours alone in a winter forest. His memo was noted. The case remained closed. Claire Alderton returned to Mercy General 6 weeks after her disappearance. Same hospital. Same ward. Same overnight shift. Same notebook in her pocket. Same names on one side. Same things that made them smile on the other. Her colleagues said she seemed exactly as she always had. Warm. Precise. Completely herself. There was one change. She stopped driving past the intersection of Birchwood and Route 9 in the morning. She takes a different route home now. A longer one. She says it is because of construction. The construction ended 14 months ago. She still takes the longer route. She says she does not know why she turned onto Greyfield Lane that morning. She says she has thought about it many times. She has never found an answer. The case file is 43 pages long. It contains timelines, search reports, medical results, witness interviews, Detective Webb's dissenting memo, Dr. Foster's notes. 43 pages. And not a single answer to the question that everyone who has read it walks away asking. If Claire was in the forest, who drove her car home? Investigators closed this case. But the question did not close with it. And somewhere in the 43 pages of that file, between the timestamps and the medical results and the search grid coordinates, there is a detail that nobody has been able to explain away. Claire Alderton walked into a forest on a February morning. She came out 27 hours later. Calm. Physically intact. Humming a song nobody recognized. And the only thing she has ever said about those 27 hours is this. She just needed to stop for a minute. No one has ever been able to tell us what that means. Or who, if anyone, helped her stop.